Why do good men so often lose? You were taught that if you were attentive, patient, kind, and always available, she would eventually fall in love with you. Yet reality often tells a different story. The men who give the most are often the first to be left behind. And here is the uncomfortable truth. It is not always their fault. Often, it is because they are playing by the wrong rules. You grew up in a world that trained you to be a gentleman, but no one warned you that the game itself was never completely fair. While you are writing long messages trying to apologize and explain yourself, another man simply says, "Do whatever you want." And somehow, she keeps thinking about him. Why? What does he understand that you do not? What is this hidden language that creates attraction, respect, and influence at the same time? Today we are going to explore that. Not through romantic fantasy, but through the mindset of one of history's most strategic thinkers, Niccolò Machiavelli. A man who studied how power shapes kingdoms and how perception shapes people. This message is not meant for men who only seek approval. It is for men who want strength, emotional strength, personal strength, relational strength. Machiavelli did not write about flowers, he wrote about fire. And today, you will understand why respect is never requested, it is established. You will learn how to apply strategic principles that help you become the kind of man who does not beg for attention, does not fall apart when ignored, and does not trade his dignity for affection. Because that is the kind of man many women naturally feel drawn to, even if they never openly admit it. We will talk about desire, but not the soft, dreamy version. We will talk about desire born from presence, confidence, and self-control. Today, we will break the illusion of the nice guy myth and replace it with the profile of a man who understands the board he is playing on. It may not sound romantic, but it is real, and you will discover why the man who can walk away at any moment is often the man no one wants to lose. So what is wrong with simply being a good man? Nothing, unless goodness exists without strength. Machiavelli warned that virtue without strength is ineffective. A man may be compassionate, but without authority, he will often be ignored or stepped over. The same principle appears in relationships. Your intentions may be noble, but if you allow people to treat you like a doormat, your kindness slowly loses its value. The biggest mistake many men make is confusing kindness with weakness, and people can sense the difference very quickly. Within seconds of meeting you, a woman is not only noticing your kindness, she is also sensing your confidence. She observes small signals. Can you hold your posture? Do you have boundaries? Can you say no without hesitation? If those signals are missing, the emotion she feels is not admiration. It is sympathy, and sympathy quietly ends attraction. Machiavelli once suggested that if you cannot be both respected and loved, respect must come first. This is not a call to be harsh, it is simply a warning. Because affection without respect often leads to imbalance. In relationships, if you do not define your own standards, you will slowly begin living by someone else's. Think about the man who always says yes, the man who is available all day, every day, the man who avoids disagreement just to keep the peace. He believes this is love, but in her mind, it may feel like submission. And attraction rarely grows from submission. Attraction often grows from quiet emotional strength. Let's make this practical. Imagine she sends you a message at 2 a.m., even though she knows you have work in the morning. The overly eager man replies instantly. The man with self-control replies when it suits his life. Why? Because he understands that every interaction communicates value. One man is trying to please, the other is protecting his priorities. Here is a difficult truth many people resist. The more you try to avoid losing someone, the more your value decreases. The harder you try to impress them, the more invisible you become. When you sacrifice your principles just to keep someone's attention, respect slowly fades. Machiavelli understood this dynamic long ago. A ruler who leads from desperation eventually loses authority. A ruler who leads with stability keeps it. Being loved feels wonderful, but if you must abandon who you are in order to be loved, you are trading your crown for crumbs. Now comes a painful reality. Sometimes people do not even understand why their attraction fades. They only feel that something has changed. Often what changed was perceived value. When someone senses that you would trade your dignity for affection, admiration quietly disappears. Respect cannot be begged for. It is inspired. And it is inspired when you become a man who is kind, but not naive, caring, but not self-sacrificing, warm, yet grounded in boundaries. The man who inspires attraction is the man who can calmly look someone in the eyes and say, "This doesn't work for me, I'm leaving." Not to punish anyone, not to create drama, but because he respects himself too much to remain where he is not valued. That kind of presence activates something powerful in the human mind. The realization that this man is not available to everyone. His attention is valuable, and if someone fails to appreciate it, another person will. That is not arrogance, that is self-respect expressed through action. Machiavelli believed that perception shapes power. If you do not guide how people see you, they will create their own narrative. And in relationships, that narrative defines the emotional balance. Want to be seen as a strong man? Do not try to be overly helpful. Be fair. Do not be unpredictable in your values. Be consistent, but never be desperate. Every act of kindness that violates your self-respect quietly weakens your presence. And here is the paradox. Only when someone respects you deeply can real love begin to grow. Desire does not grow from the man who gives everything away. Desire grows from the man who knows his value and refuses to bargain it. Still unsure? Look at the archetype of men who attract the most curiosity. They are rarely the men constantly sending gifts and compliments. They are the men focused on a purpose greater than the relationship itself. Their life creates a question. Do I truly have him, or do I still have to earn him? A woman may appreciate a kind man, but she often feels deeper curiosity toward a man with inner power. And that power is not aggression, it is self-discipline. It is choosing your mission. It is standing so firmly in your own center that even disagreement cannot shake your presence. Machiavelli did not write about romance, he wrote about perception. And when you understand perception, you begin to understand attraction. In a world full of men who constantly bend, the man who stands firm creates a spark people remember. No risk, no desire. It is simple and honest. Human psychology moves through reward and consequence. If something cannot be lost, it is rarely valued. If something is guaranteed, it slowly becomes invisible. And that includes men who are too available. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Power is not built on being loved by everyone. Power is built on what you are willing to walk away from. A ruler who cannot imagine losing his throne is not respected. He is ignored. The same happens to the man who cannot imagine life without her. Desire needs a degree of uncertainty. Total certainty often removes excitement. When she knows you will always be there no matter what happens, you stop feeling like a choice. You become background, always present, always predictable. And what is always present rarely creates curiosity. Pause for a moment. How many times have you changed your plans for someone? How many times have you answered within seconds? How many times have you felt uneasy when they did not respond? That impulse of constant availability may feel like love to you, but it can appear like dependence to the other person. Machiavelli once wrote that anyone who depends entirely on another person's will loses their freedom. In relationships, that means if you need someone's approval to feel secure, they hold the power. And when one person holds all the power, attraction slowly fades. Not because anyone is cruel, but because human nature looks for strength, not dependence. Risk does not mean chaos. Risk means your presence carries weight. If your attention is taken for granted, you can withdraw it. If you are not appreciated, you can move on. This creates a powerful balance. Respect without hostility. A space where you harm no one, yet no one wants to lose you. She knows your time matters, so she treats it carefully. Think about luxury. Expensive things are not valuable only because of quality. They are valuable because they are limited. The same principle applies to attention. If you are always available, your value decreases. But when you are focused on your mission and your time has structure, people treat it differently. Imagine two men asking a woman out. One says, "Whenever you are free, I will adjust." The other says, "I'm free Thursday from 7 to 9. Which invitation feels more confident? The second. Because it communicates that his time already has direction. This is not about games, it is about living a life full enough that you cannot abandon it for every message. The man with presence does not ignore people to create attraction. He simply has priorities, and those priorities create natural magnetism. Desire grows when something valuable can be lost. A man who is not afraid to walk away, a man who remains calm when attention disappears, a man who does not beg. That man remains in people's minds long after he leaves the room. Machiavelli once observed that people often remember the loss of something valuable longer than many other events. Translated into relationships, someone may forgive your mistakes, but the moment they realize you are not permanently secured can leave a lasting impression. That sense of risk keeps the spark alive. Desire does not come from constant reassurance. It comes from meaningful presence. If you want someone to think about you, miss you, and wonder about you, constant availability will not create that. Focus will. Purpose will. Next time you are busy, remain busy, not to prove a point, but because your life genuinely has direction. If someone cancels plans at the last moment, do not react emotionally. Continue with your day. Let the next meeting happen when your schedule allows. One of the quietest forms of power is calm distance. No explanations, no drama, just focus on your world. That is confidence. That is presence. And that is the kind of energy strategic thinkers understood long ago. In the dynamics of influence, the person who shapes the story often shapes reality. Machiavelli wrote that perception often carries more weight than raw truth. You do not need to be perfect. You need to appear steady. You do not need to be invincible. But you should not reveal every vulnerability immediately. One habit that quietly weakens attraction is over-explaining. Constant justifications, long apologies, endless attempts to be understood. Behind that behavior lies a silent message: I need your approval. And every time that message is sent, perceived strength decreases. Many men believe that if someone knows everything about them, love will grow stronger. But often what creates fascination is not total transparency, it is depth. Depth means there are layers still waiting to be discovered. A woman may want to know you, but she does not need the entire map immediately. Curiosity creates engagement. Machiavelli once observed that most people judge based on what they see, not what lies underneath. Your advantage is not revealing everything. Your advantage is allowing your words to suggest there is more beneath the surface. When someone feels they have completely solved you, curiosity fades. But when they feel there is still more to understand, interest grows. Imagine she asks why you did not reply last night. One man says, "Sorry, I fell asleep after a long day and then I forgot." Another man simply says, "I was busy." Short, calm, direct, no drama, no extra explanations. This does not mean being rude, it means protecting your narrative. Mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity keeps attention alive. Strategic silence is powerful. Not every question requires a detailed answer. Sometimes saying less communicates more. Think back to moments in childhood when a parent looked at you silently after you crossed a line. No words were needed. The message was clear. That calm presence creates respect. And many women, even if they never describe it this way, are drawn to that contained energy. Masculinity that does not boast, does not beg, does not collapse. It observes, it waits, and when it speaks with intention. Silence used wisely is not indifference. It is control of your presence, and mystery is not coldness. It is depth expressed with timing. Consider your social media. Do you share everything? Every meal, every thought, every emotional reaction? If so, there is little left to discover. Your life should feel like a place with visible rooms and hidden doors. People should sometimes wonder, what drives him? What occupies his time? Why does he not reveal everything? That curiosity fuels interest. Some may call this manipulation. It is not. Manipulation is pretending to be someone you are not. This is simply choosing when and how to reveal different parts of yourself. It is awareness. It is self-mastery. History has always shown that those who speak less often maintain more influence. Many people fall not because of weakness, but because they reveal too much too soon. Timing matters. truth also has timing. Sharing everything immediately is not authenticity. Sometimes it is simply carelessness. A strong identity has layers, a story that unfolds over time. That only happens when you keep certain parts of your inner world private, when you do not answer every question immediately, when you can smile, observe, and remain silent. Remember this: male attention may be earned through effort, but attraction is often sustained through curiosity. When she does not fully know what you are thinking, she wonders about you. When she cannot fully predict what you feel, curiosity grows. And when she is not completely sure she possesses your attention forever, she invests more energy to keep it. Just as wise leaders never reveal every plan at once, you should not reveal your entire soul at the beginning. Not out of coldness, but out of emotional intelligence. You want a deep connection? Good. First, create intrigue. You want respect? Stop explaining every decision you make. You want to be desired? Stop presenting yourself as ordinary. The average man talks too much. The valuable man is the one people want to understand, yet never fully decode. She does not need to know everything about you. She only needs to feel that there is far more beneath the surface, and that alone can make your presence unforgettable. You do not need to control her. You need to guide how she perceives you. Machiavelli once suggested that what people believe about you often matters more than what you actually are. People rarely respond to pure truth. They respond to their interpretation of it. And in relationships, this becomes even more visible. A man can be emotionally mature, successful, and disciplined, but if he presents himself as needy, he will be treated like a child. Another man may be imperfect, quiet, even a little arrogant. Yet if he carries emotional strength, he may be treated like a king. She does not react only to who you are. She reacts to your frame, your energy, the way you enter a room, and the way you carry yourself. That is why the real art of relationships is not physical. It is psychological. You do not win the moment you physically get her. You win when she thinks about you when you are not there. When her emotions begin to connect both to your presence and to your absence. Machiavelli once observed that people judge more with their eyes than with their hands. Everyone can see appearances, but very few truly understand what lies beneath them. In other words, what you appear to be often shapes reality more than what you quietly do. And this is where many men lose the game. They believe that if they do everything correctly, they will eventually be rewarded. But attraction does not measure effort. It measures experience. A woman does not fall in love with a checklist of actions. She falls in love with how she feels when she is around you. And if you make her feel that you are overly available, overly dependent, emotionally surrendered, it will not matter how successful you are. You will appear smaller in her eyes. Now listen carefully. The first mistake of an insecure man is presenting himself as a solution. He tries to become the rescuer, the emotional support, the shoulder she can cry on. It sounds noble, but it often communicates hidden neediness. The Machiavellian man does not present himself as a solution. He presents himself as an opportunity. He does not try to repair her life. He shows that his life already stands strong, and she may become part of it if she adds value. That shift changes everything. For example, she asks, "What are you looking for in a relationship?" The average man answers, "Someone who loves me, cares about me, and values me." The strategic man answers, "I'm looking for someone who adds to the life I already enjoy. My peace is non-negotiable." Feel the difference. One seeks approval, the other sets standards. And that frame alone changes the way she perceives him, because attraction rarely grows toward a man searching for emotional rescue. It grows toward the man whose life already feels complete. Another principle Machiavelli discussed is the balance between affection and authority. If you cannot be both respected and loved, respect must come first. But when you combine both, you create real influence. In relationships, that means be fair, be emotionally present, but never abandon your structure just to please someone. Be warm, but not predictable. Be affectionate, but firm. She must feel that you want her, but she must also feel that you do not need her. And that difference changes everything, because people protect what they might lose. What is difficult to obtain becomes valuable, and what refuses to bend under emotional pressure becomes respected. The second fatal mistake many men make is explaining their value. They want her to understand how good they are, so they talk about their past, their struggles, their achievements, their pain. They believe more information will create deeper connection. But value is not explained. Value is demonstrated. A valuable man never says, "I am valuable." He shows it through his presence, through the way he speaks, through the way he moves, through the way he sets boundaries. Imagine this situation. She begins flirting with another man in front of you. The insecure man reacts with anger. The passive man says nothing and pretends it does not bother him. But the strategic man smiles calmly and says, "Do whatever you like. Just remember, I also have choices." And then he leaves. The result? She spends the entire night thinking about it. Was that confidence? Was it maturity? Was it indifference? She cannot label it, but she remembers it. Because instead of drama, you created impact, and that is narrative control. You do not need manipulation. You only need to set expectations and then act consistently within them. Another example. She expects you to behave like every other man, to text every morning, to respond instantly, to chase when she becomes distant. But you do something different. You stay focused on your life. You do not complain. You do not chase. You do not explain unnecessary things. And suddenly, a question appears in her mind. Why doesn't he behave like everyone else? That question becomes your advantage, because the human mind is fascinated by what it cannot easily predict. Machiavelli believed that anyone who wishes to lead must know how to command. But command does not come from shouting. It comes from presence, not from physical dominance, but from emotional stability. The next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to apologize unnecessarily, or to justify yourself, pause. Take a breath. Remember something important. Perception shapes respect. Respect can be built in seconds, and lost in one moment of unnecessary validation. You are the prize, you are the filter. And if someone forgets that, it is often because you forgot to communicate it. Master expectations. Create scarcity. Show firmness without long explanations. Let people feel that being close to you is not automatic. It is earned. Real power is not simply staying. Real power is knowing you can leave without hesitation. Many men believe love is proven by insisting, arguing, and trying again and again. But true strength is knowing when to withdraw quietly, without anger, without complaints, without asking someone to choose you. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Power is preserved when people fear losing it. The same idea appears in relationships. The man who cannot let go has already lost. The man who begs for attention, who stays where respect does not exist, is not showing love. He is revealing emptiness. And that emptiness slowly erases desire. You are not here to convince anyone to stay. You are here so that losing you feels like a mistake. Detachment is not coldness. It is self-respect in its highest form. It is looking at someone you once cared about and calmly saying, "This no longer aligns with my life," and walking away. Not with bitterness, but with dignity. Strategic withdrawal is an art. Machiavelli believed that wise men do not act when emotions demand action. They act when timing and clarity guide the decision. Leaving at the right moment can create something that no gift, no speech, and no apology ever could. Unforgettable dignity. The kind of moment that remains in someone's memory for years. Because there was no argument, no accusations, no shouting, only silence. And silence can be deeply powerful to someone who once believed they completely possessed your attention. A clear example.